Hey guys, me and Ingrid here, and originally we had did a recording of our after we watched the first Expendables movie, the director's cut, and I stupidly deleted it and deleted all the files around it because I thought, hey, I got it all, and stupidity on my part. But thankfully, Ingrid is here with me to be able to re-record and re-talk about it. It's also going to be a bit of an updated, after everything's settled in, opinion on where we felt on the first movie and maybe the rest of the series as a whole, but mostly the first movie. For the
Hmm.
so just as a reminder, the whole point of the movie was a bunch of action, actors: Sylvester Stallone, Dolph Lundgren, Jet Li, so many others. Basically, are playing as this group of mercenaries. They get called in to go help deal with this dictator and this suit, where the dictator wasn't that bad, but he was still
Hmm.
bad. And his daughter was the leader of the resistance, all that. And for the most part, we thought the movie was all right.
Hmm. I think we were at somewhere around a 7 or an 8 in our original review, coming
Yep,
straight off of the movie.
and I still say it's still around a 7-ish, maybe a 6.5.
Hmm.
I
But
mean,
in retrospect,
yeah, the movies were kind of samey.
yeah, or it took me a while to even remember, like, okay, which one was 1, which one was 2, or which one was 3. It was only when you mentioned, oh, right, the suit and the dictator, that was the first one.
Right, exactly. I mean, at least the second one you had John Claude Van Damme, and the third one you had Mel Gibson. So
Hmm.
yeah, you had
Yeah, but
all.
this one, I feel like it was sort of almost a 2 for 2, where it's just like, huh, this has a lot of character development for something I was expecting to be a popcorn flick, and a
Oh
lot of
yeah,
subversion of expectations.
definitely a lot of subversive expectations. But at the same time, though, it also again, you can't fault the first one for what the other films would do, but we can't help but look back at this franchise as a whole and just realize that, there's a reason why it was, like I said at the end of the third review, which you'll see when we get to it, that it kind of was episodic. There's no overarching plan. That's why we never did a series retrospective on it. It's just
Hmm.
one movie of a bunch of stuff going on.
Yeah.
And this guy started that going where, except for Jet Li's character changing around or not showing up in the next two movies, nothing really's changed for the characters.
No, it really, yeah, it really hasn't. It's just like you could probably see any of the movies free of the context of the others and still have it make the same amount of sense.
Exactly. With possibly the exception of the third one when they talk about Mr. Church, which will be Bruce Willis's character, but that one, even then, you don't really need to know it.
Hmm. Yes, it
But
does a good enough job of explaining itself.
exactly. And then also the fact that Arnold and Bruce Willis's cameos in here, well, pales compared to what we see in the second and the third one for Arnold and just the second one for Willis. But on its own, for what it was, especially since it was still when Arnold was the governor, and all that, it was still a good. It was still a nice scene overall. Probably the highlight of the movie.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think we really liked the sort of like dynamic between the two bad guys. Like,
Oh,
you
that too.
obviously have this dictator of the country who, yeah, he runs this thing with drugs, but all throughout it, whenever he's talking with the suit, he's just like, yeah, I may be bad, but there are specific lines I won't cross.
And the suit is constantly being like, played by Eric Roberts, I should point out, is
Hmm.
constantly being all like, "Hey, I'm the one who got you where you are. You're going to do it my way." And yet there was some really weird, interesting moments, like when they apprehend the daughter of the dictator, and then they bring him over. The dictator's yelling down to them like a father who is seeing his daughter being brought in by the police.
Yeah, or it's just like getting caught out past her curfew, and it's kind of surreal.
Until she then says, "Well, why didn't you kill me with everyone else?" Then you're brought back to be like, "Oh right, dictator."
Yeah!
I mean, again, some of the characterization was very good, but then you also had stuff like Dolph Lundgren's character deciding like they're like, "You're a bit of a problem," because that was an interesting part in the beginning, where they're like, "What? I got one. What is he doing? Hanging a pirate? I don't be ridiculous. Hey, what are you doing? I'm hanging a pirate. We don't do that." Now that was funny tells you how nuts he is, but thankfully they dropped that for the next movie. You can't keep doing that. But here, it just felt a little like the guy has issues. So he goes off, he sneaks aboard, and then he ends up with the bad guys, and just it was, looking back, it was pretty convoluted how he got back into, meeting up with them and dealing with Jet Li's character. So you have the big guy versus the little guy. But it still felt like, they didn't kill him off. He's still alive by the end and everything. But it just felt like his arc was a little, would you say superfluous or just not needed?
I mean, I can barely remember what you're talking about here, so I guess that tells you that.
Right. He's the guy with the mental issues and all that, the anger issues. Like I said, he was hanging the pirate, and they were saying like, "Hey, we're gonna shoot you if you don't stop it." And then eventually, he's told you're not on the team. Then then after that, he sneaks aboard when Barney and Christmas go over to the country, meets up with the bad guys, and they're like, "Hey, I know these guys. They don't want me no more. I'll work with you guys if you pay me the top."
Oh yeah, that guy.
And then he ends up fighting Jet Li's character, the Asian guy, and in the least of that fight, Barney shoots him, and then he eventually tells him what was going on, and then it goes from there. But then we don't see him until the very end because he's still alive. It's like,
Yeah, I forgot about that entire arc, so that tells you how much relevance it had to the plot.
Exactly. All it did was they it's the only way for them to get all the information they needed about what happened inside, what's on the island, so they can plan accordingly. But yeah, and then also it was way too dark, the movie.
Yeah, it really was hard to tell what was going on at times.
Yeah, I mean, now one thing I found out that I didn't know when we watched it, turns out the music that was played during the climax, it wasn't that music from the trailer, that whole boom-lay, boom-lay. It wasn't that, it was just regular traditional music. Sly put that in the director's cut, and I think it was all the better for it. That scene.
Oh,
rocked.
Indeed. That really helped sell that scene and bring it home.
Exactly. So, they get through, they shoot everything up, the Dictator got killed off by the suit, so they chase the suit to get the girl, they get him, and then shoot him down and everything, and all's over. I mean, I think I say it in either the original video or one of the other reviews that the plot is very thin, but it's the character interactions, and I think we both agree there was a lot of deconstruction of the action stars in this. I mean, Barney...
Yeah, it's just like, I remember saying something along the lines of, sometimes you don't necessarily need to reinvent the wheel, sometimes you just need to add chocolate chips in the chocolate cake batter.
Exactly, and I think I made an analogy of, it took the action movie genre, which by this point become like a fast food, meal. It's still fast food, but you're able to rework it to something that still tastes almost like a full course meal, but you made new additions to it.
Or you attempt to have a chef create a gourmet version of the fast food.
That works too. But again, overall, the movie was pretty good, all things considered. But just sitting back and looking at it all, I mean, it's the second best. Third one is definitely the weakest, but barely the weakest.
Yeah, definitely the second best one, and not a waste of your time by any stretch of the imagination if you're just looking for something to tune out to.
Exactly. I mean, I can see why people keep on wanting to see more of these made.
But, and it wouldn't mind if they made more of them either. It's just, hey, you've already got a decent formula. You don't need to necessarily worry about telling an extensive plot or anything. Just go ahead and throw the Expendables at something.
Exactly, and yeah, like you said, there's not a big overall arcing plot. They can keep on doing this for as long as they want to. So, hey, so I think that's all we have to say. Ingrid, thank you again for doing this to make up for my boneheaded mistake.
Hey, it happens to the best of us.
Yep, and we'll see. You'll see it again. For you guys tomorrow. For us, it was a couple days ago. So,
who knows what we'll be watching next time?
Who knows? And we'll see you guys again later. Could you do it for me because they can't see me? Yo, the little sound. Take care.